This is a Riok Sasani channeling session, 7:12 p.m. An interview on August 22nd.
All right, and we thank you for coming to interact with us. It is always our greatest passion and joy to be able to interact with all of you in these unique formats. Now, we understand that you have a variety of questions already set aside for us. However, we have a particular message for all of those listening that we would like to deliver before we get into the questions that you have co-created for us. And this message is the following. Understand that at this time, your Earth is allowing for many of you to be able to tap in more strongly to what you would call your sixth sense. Understanding that this has been a building energetically that has been occurring over the last 10 years or so, and it is at a point where it is now boiling. If there are those of you whom are listening who have felt the urge, the calling, to go into what you may call a shamanic direction, a direction of learning how to grow your spirit, how to cultivate certain abilities that you can use for the benefit of your species and your world, understanding right now you are incredibly supported in this. The Earth is providing for you an unprecedented amount of freedom of access to these energies. We would encourage all of you who feel that calling to begin to explore this path. Understanding many of you have decided that this is something that is just not for you, even though you feel the calling, due to a variety of different reasons that are linked to what you know to be your negative beliefs. Fear of judgment, fear of what others may think, fear if this act of these choices, if they can actually support you. Understanding, if you feel this calling, it is a natural extension of yourself because you feel called to that which is in resonance with you. If it makes your heart sing, it's not doing that randomly. It's doing that because it is literally for you. That's why it has that effect within your heart center. So understand right now, if you have felt that calling, remember, the Earth is asking you to do this. Understanding you are asking you to do this. And again, the way to determine if that is accurate for you is to go within yourself, scan into your heart as you look into that reality of exploring these paths and ask yourself that question. Go into that knowingness of, does this make my heart sing? Does this fill me with joy? Does this fill me with passion when I imagine myself doing these things? If you find the answer is yes, then understand that is what is being asked of you on multiple levels, not just by your own higher self, but also of the Earth. Because right now, that is the particular type of activity that the Earth is requiring. Because remember, you are extensions of the Earth. You are of the Earth. You are the Earth. As a result, when you find you are being pulled in a particular direction that you find exciting and passionate, remember, it's also what the Earth is asking, because you are that. And many of you say, I wish to help the planet. I wish to serve the planet. I wish to be an ambassador for the planet and for the reality I prefer. Remember, in order to best do that, you must follow your heart. Because that's not just your direction in a separate direction. That is a direction that's not just authentic to you, but also authentic to the Earth. And that is why you have the feelings. Understanding the types of changes that are occurring on your world require that level of embracing of the self that the embodiment of these shamanic techniques represents. This is our primary message to all of those listening at this time, And we say it with great joy because we understand where your Earth is headed. We understand the directions many of you are already choosing, and we are excited to reinforce a direction that many of you are already actively considering within yourselves.
Just to ask a few questions of what you said.
Of course, yes.
What specifically type of psychic abilities are being amplified and why? But to follow up, for those who are in the certain heart wavelength to accept those abilities, how would they then improve on them or get a better sense or have more capacity of those abilities?
All right. Well, step one is recognizing that you possess the abilities. Remember, to varying degrees, you all possess different sixth sense abilities. Understanding that the way to explore that is to follow your passion, to follow the flow of synchronicity, to look into the skill, because remember there's a variety of different esoteric skills, mystical skills. Look into the skill and then imagine what is the most exciting, passionate, heart-based way I can begin to play with this, and approach it from the child who is exploring the world for the first time. Go into it with a realm of curiosity built within yourself, knowing that it's a whole dimension that is infinite in nature and will open itself up to you unconditionally as long as you continue to feed that connection with that dimension.
Okay. But you said in the last 10 years, psychic abilities have increased.
Yes.
What sort of psychic abilities are specifically sort of needed for the Earth, and why are they increasing in the last 10 years?
Understanding the following. There are many non-physicalized consciousnesses that exist within your Earth dimension. These consciousnesses help to maintain the ecological balance of your world, and they also help to harmonize your collective consciousness. When these spirits, you could say, that are native to your Earth, that are benevolent in nature, are not nurtured, they begin to bring their attention elsewhere. They bring their attention to another version of your Earth where they are being honored, where they are being communed with. Because remember, you have infinite variations of the Earth. So if you do not engage them, we're speaking as a general you, if those of you who feel called to engage them do not engage them, what ends up happening is they will shift to another version of Earth where there are different versions of your populations that are engaging them. And you will then not have the experience of them in your reality, and it then allows for your planet to be less harmonized. And your planet goes further into versions of itself that many of you say you do not prefer. So the reason these skills are activating is so people can then begin to interact with the Earth consciousness and with the different types of consciousnesses that are non-physical but are homeostatic in their relationship to the planet and your collective psyche. So the opening up of these skills is geared to get you to take that next step, to commune with your planet in a very deep way, and the multidimensional consciousnesses that are native to your planet, so you can help to create a version of your Earth that is maximizing its idea of being balanced.
So you said you know where the Earth is headed.
Yes.
Where is the Earth headed?
Well, understanding that the way we're going to answer this will be multifaceted. It depends on your choice. We are able to scan into the sea of probabilities for each of you, and we can determine where you are headed in terms of different versions of Earth based on your energy and based on the probability of different choices you will make. Should you go into, again, the vibration of following your passion, following your dreams, and trusting in that direction with no expectation built in, you shift to an Earth, you shift onto a timeline where you allow for utopia to be built on your world. Remember, utopia is not as far away as many of you think. Many of you think utopia is far away because you are bombarded with negative portrayals of your world by your media. Remembering that this is done for certain reasons, not all of them we're going to get into, but remember, it's done for certain reasons that in many ways acts as a magnet for some of you to then shift onto negative timelines, to go into negative versions of Earth. When you feed into those realities, you are then shifting into a negative timeline. You're shifting into a negative version of Earth. Understanding collectively, it's becoming increasingly challenging for many of you to actually do that, though. The type of positive timeline you're on is becoming hyper-crystallized, but you still have the freedom to shift away into a different version of Earth if you so choose, and it is your overall vibration that determines which version of the planet you then move to. Remembering, these different versions are literal different planets. They are different versions of this planet with their own unique timeline. When you maintain a state of unconditional love and joy and you follow your passion, you are syncing up with the highest vibrational version of Earth that you could possibly manifest. And that is why we say we are knowing where you are heading. Because we can look into your reality, we can see the individuals who are a match for that timeline, because that's the timeline we are on. And when we see that there are individuals who are not matching that, we understand which reality they are going to, because it's not our timeline. Does this answer your question?
I think so.
All right.
Okay, so I once talked to you, Riok, about black holes, and just recently, a few years back, astronomers discovered at LEGO this bleep, and that there was a light shining through. Can you tell me what people on your civilization can define what this event actually meant?
Yes, it's an ongoing event. Remember, it was not just an isolated event. The effects from this are multidimensional, in the sense that they are transcending dimensional space and time altogether. So this is a phenomenon that's not just reaching your reality, but it's beaming into various parallel reality versions of Earth. The idea here, again, is to crystallize into your reality the positive timeline. Understanding this light that has emanated from what you would call your galactic center, in that sense, is containing within it different activation codes that are affecting the entire star network. Remember that light travels. Like attracts light. This light from the central point of your galaxy is rippling through various star networks. You could look at it as a galactic upgrade that is not limited to just your version of the universe. It's also going into different versions of the universe. It is in many ways unifying different timelines. It's unifying different versions of different worlds together, so those that wish to be on a very fundamentally positive timeline have greater liberation and greater ease in doing so.
So is it two black holes coming together?
Not necessarily, but this is something that will be happening in your future.
In a positive way or a negative way?
Highly positive way.
Will new beings be transported, and will those that have deceased be on our planet, their matter be put back into that black hole, and maybe thus transcended into the next world?
This is actually a part of it, yes. Understanding it allows for different beings to in many ways rewrite their history in a very expanded sense. And this can be done in terms of rewriting their history while they were alive. So those that are deceased can actually manifest in different versions of experiences they had while they were alive, so they can receive different lessons when they are then in the spirit realm. So it can allow for the rewriting, you could say, of one's history. It is allowing for this to occur.
So can't you say right here, right now, as a transcendence of my past spirit?
Absolutely, yes. And the idea is the phenomenon we're describing is simply a much more expanded version of the phenomenon that's occurring in all moments, because you're always, in that sense, transcending, you're always transforming.
So I wanted to get into the idea of shape-shifting. There is a story of this guy who's called the God of Many Faces.
All right, yes.
And people actually believe that people can shape-shift into different people.
Yes.
But could it possibly be that really it's them connecting the chi with the universe, with the energy that's there, to then shape-shift into whatever is on the same energy that they are on?
Precisely, yes. Understanding they are simply matching a vibration of an energetic blueprint that they're already connected to. Typically, this is a connection they have that is related to other incarnational themes. However, it's not limited to this. Understanding you all have spirit guides that are occupying the auric space around you that are located and linked to various dimensions. Understanding that some of these spirit guides are physical in their nature, but they are having a holographic projection into your auric field. So you can also shapeshift to embody the appearance of certain spirit guides you also have as well. But the idea is you're simply matching a vibration of something you are already connected to such an accelerated rate that it allows for you to then literally make temporary physical changes to the perception of your body.
Okay, thank you,
Yes.
Riok, for interacting with us. We really appreciate your time.
All right, yes. We thank you for the transmission, but
Wait,
remember,
before you-
there is
wait,
more
before-
to speak upon.
Before you go off, actually.
Sorry, I didn't know you were ending. So, do you have any thoughts on 5G and how it's affecting the Earth, the people on it, plants, space,
Yes.
the vibrations?
Yes, remember, it varies. It depends on the timeline you are on. Remember, you are given many of what you'd call the worst of these possibilities. This is done because of multiple reasons. There are reasons why such negative portrayals of this reality are given to you. Again, it's done for a variety of reasons. Remember, when your scientists make these discoveries and they do the experiments, remember it's still a manifestation of their energy, linked with the collective energy. You would find that if some of these experiments were to be repeated under different circumstances, you would get different results, because that energy you call 5G does different things in different realities based on the collective belief and the reality you're in. So there are certain realities where you could say individuals are collectively emanating the vibration of fear in relationship to what you would call multi-species level extinction. In those realities, when that is the vibration that is then harbored, the 5G takes on that effect because it's a multi-dimensional milestone in your development. It can take on that effect because that is the collective energy being projected at that. Now, if you then go into it in a different way, understanding it is symbolic of representing a deeper level of interconnectivity amongst your species, you can actually use it as a permission slip tool to be able to accelerate your own understanding of how connected to one another you actually are. Understanding one of the themes of 5G is the acceleration in your connection to the web and the ability to upload and download information and the ability to very seamlessly, very rapidly shift from one website, one web page to another, to another, to another. It allows for greater speed in a non-physical sense. This is a reflection of the psychic changes you're also going through. So if you utilize this as a reflection of the expansiveness of your own consciousness, the 5G energy will actually take on that effect. Does this answer your question?
Maybe.
All right.
I mean, in part.
All right.
So then, in terms of the Schumann
Yes.
resonance,
Yes.
do you think that's something that will evolve from, or is that something that's stable?
It is something that's stable, but it's something you're going to learn how to explore at a much deeper level. Remember, you can also resonate at that vibration if you so choose. And the idea is to be able to then internalize the Schumann resonance within yourself. What does that vibration feel like? What does that vibration feel like when you emanate it from every cell in your body? Understanding the more you embody the Schumann resonance, the more the Schumann resonance will evolve with you. Because it will over time change as your planet evolves and as you evolve. The key to go into harmony with that is to allow for yourself to saturate your body with that vibration so you understand the feeling quality of it. Do you understand what we're saying so far?
Yeah.
Once you have the feeling quality of it, it then becomes, you could say, hardwired into your perception of the reality. So it becomes a natural side effect of just existing. That is how embodied you can become with the Schumann resonance. And understand it will naturally evolve as your planet continues its acceleration, because right now it's in a process of rapid acceleration, more so than it's been previously. And as you sync up with that, it will then ground and stabilize your process of transformation and acceleration as well. Does this answer the question for
I
you?
think so, yeah.
All right, yes.
Thank you.
You are quite welcome.
I had a question just
All
to
right.
follow up. So you were talking about how belief systems can pretty much alter someone's consciousness of their reality. Is there any, and I know you keep talking about the Earth needing to, but what about what's going on in your planet? Do you guys have belief systems, or what, anything altering you, or why is it just Earth, or is it just Earth?
It is not just Earth, but our reality is not necessarily utilize belief systems in the same way. We use them as a stepping stone to get to the level of evolution we are currently at. Understanding when the belief system is embodied to such an extent where you then manifest the reality that's in resonance with the belief system, and you then occupy that reality and expand from there, the idea of a belief system begins to fall away because you transcend it and it becomes what we would call knowingness. It goes from belief system to a level of knowingness because it's a part of you at that point, because you've embodied it so deeply. We are in the realm of knowingness. We used beliefs to get here, to be able to shift our reality, to be able to manifest the precise and exact version of our civilization we all collectively desired. But now that we are all here, we have the knowingness of that reality. We have the knowingness of how it operates. We have the knowingness of where it's going. That doesn't mean we can predict every little thing, but we have the knowingness that we're exactly where we need to be there. We have the exact knowingness that we are on the proper timeline that allows for our evolution to go in the way we prefer it to go. Not having an expectation on what that needs to look like, but embodying the knowingness that it's perfect. Embodying the knowingness we are already perfect. And that is what we utilize. It is knowingness. You are beginning to learn how to step into your knowingness because what is required is trust. Understanding that many of you trust in beliefs you do not prefer, in beliefs that are misaligned with your true nature. When that happens, and then you say, I wish to now believe in a positive reality, because you're still feeding those negative beliefs, it creates the feeling of mistrust. So what is required is authentic trust, which is the dissolving of the realities and your trust in them that you do not prefer, so you can reallocate that energy to the preferred reality. So you can then utilize that trust that is already there. It's just moving it around from a negative perception to a positive one that can then assist you in going into a level of knowingness similar to how our society operates.
Okay, clears up a lot.
Yes.
Is there anything else that we didn't touch on that you'd like to discuss?
These are our primary messages for you at this time. We would like to begin to comment on an event that is occurring within your Amazon rainforest in certain realities. Remember, this event, many of you have called it the flaming of the Amazon. The Amazon is burning. These are some of the phrases that your world is using to describe this. We want you to understand the following. This event is divinely orchestrated and is linked to, again, the pulse of light from your galactic center. Understanding that right now, again, your planet is wishing for all of you to go into a particular direction where you can essentially, again, as we've said in the beginning of the transmission, activate more of your sixth sense to be able to go deeper into your own shamanic nature, which is built into all of you. You are all shamans in that respect to varying degrees depending on how relevant it is for your personal theme. We would like to clarify on this event of the Amazon fires. Understanding that in many of your ancient traditions, the idea of fire and a fire offering is symbolized in the sense that the fire then consumes the energy of whatever is offered to the fire. The smoke then carries that energy. It is then bathing all of those who come into contact with the smoke in the energy so they can receive a particular effect from it. That smoke is then carried into the atmosphere, so this can then be dispersed and sent to your entire collective. Understanding that when you then have energies that penetrate into the atmospheric level, it is teetering on the border of which you would call space and more universal levels of energy. When it is here, it is then multiplied because what you send directly up to the universe then is multiplied because that's the nature of the universe and this particular fire symbol we're talking about of sacrifice, you could say, although that's not the best word we like to use. Understanding when you send this energy into the universe, it is then multiplied and the universe gives it back to you. These fires are done by your earth to varying degrees. Understanding the earth is in many ways sending this energy up, so that way the entire collective consciousness of the Amazon in many ways will then be amplified through the portal point of space and your atmospheres and their convergent points. The purpose for this is in many ways, again, to allow for these shamanic abilities to open up, for the deep communing with nature to open up. Understanding the planet has done this intentionally. Many of you may wish to project fear into this reality because it feels like the proper response, because it's in many ways natural for you to want to go through some kind of process of letting go of something that was there. Remember, the entire Amazon will not go, but there are going to be portions of it that are then released. What we would ask of you is to, instead of programming fear into this, to utilize this as a permission slip to further deepen your own shamanic nature, because all of this energy from the Amazon, which is highly sacred energy, is now being multiplied by the cosmos as the fires are beginning to reach, in that sense, via the smoke to that level. As that effect is then reflected back to you by universal consciousnesses, it will allow for your society to go through a quickening in its awakening process. And we would ask of you, if you feel inspired, to utilize it in that way. That is why we've said right now you have an unprecedented access to your shamanic natures, because of this, in many ways, you could say, sacrifice that the earth is making for all of you. Remember, it's not an inherently negative effect and not an inherently negative reality, even though it may be tempting to want to put that there. But remember, that's just, in many ways, how shall we say this? This is in many ways a slight misalignment of that letting go process. The idea is to let go of the parts of the Amazon that are being in many ways offered by the earth, so that way you can receive the effect of that alchemical process in a way that is positive. Because remember, as we've said, it is all about collective belief. When you program into it beliefs and energies that are negative, you will then receive that effect from, again, this multiplying effect of the sacrifice, you could say, that Earth is making for the benefit of all of you and all life upon it. This is one of the most crucial messages we would like to deliver to your collectives at this time, because we understand for some of you, it is a rather tumultuous experience.
Thank you for this interaction.
And thank you for this interaction. It is always our pleasure and joy to be able to co-create these spaces with each of you. Our unconditional love to you always, and to all whom you encounter on your Earth walk. Thank you.